Hey everybody, I am wrapping up a 5-part series today from Game Changers for Government Contractors. I was talking about one of the chapters in here. It's actually chapter 1, what it takes to win, and just all the different skills and abilities you really need to pick up when you are becoming a government contractor. And one of those skills is writing. So let's talk about writing skills that you need. So you not only need skills to write an email to a contracting officer, you need skills for writing marketing materials, capability statements, all these different types of things. You need writing skills to be able to manage all of that kind of stuff. But one of the most important things that you're going to need writing skills for is your RFPs and things like that. Sources sought, RFIs, all those kind of good things. You need to be able to write coherently and communicate a message in often as little amount of time as possible, because sometimes you have page restrictions and all these kind of things. But when you're writing, say, an executive summary, you got a page or two to write that thing. It needs to be clear. It needs to be concise. It needs to communicate the value your company provides. And so you have to learn how to write about your company and about the things that you do, the products and services you provide. You've got to learn how to write about that stuff. And so where do you go to learn how to write? Well, you can get a lot of examples in our federal access system. You can get a lot of examples just online in general for different things. Those are really good examples. But as far as like writing technique, one of the best websites that's out there is, I don't know if they pronounce it Ezine or whatever. Ezine Articles is how I describe it. So EZINE articles.com. If you go sign up for an account on there, one of the coolest things about that website is it will actually start sending you like a series on how to write. And you will get an email series. I don't remember how many it is. It's maybe 8 or 10 weeks, maybe longer than that, where they just send you an email once a week and it gives you writing tips to get started writing. And then one of the other cool things about that website is you can publish articles on there and you can link them back to your business and all that kind of good stuff. And when you're doing that, your articles actually get critiqued. So when you write an article and submit it, it will get critiqued by professional writers in their system. And so they will come back and show you where you had grammar issues or other different problems, and you will learn from that process. I guarantee you. When I first started with it, I would get so frustrated because I'm like, just publish my article. And they would come back and say, no, you got problems in this sentence and this sentence and this one and this one and this one. And the more I worked with the website, the more I actually learned that stuff. And probably about my 8th or 10th article, I got to a point where I would only have like one error or one issue, that sort of thing. And by the time I was doing like my 25th or 30th article, I was at a point where I wasn't having any issues. So it just helped me hone my writing skills really early on, and it's something I highly recommend is to find a website like that. You don't need to spend tens of thousands of dollars figuring this type of stuff out, but you do need to invest some time writing. Another really great way, and this will help your business as well, is if you have a blog. You can write something weekly for your blog. If you don't have a blog on your website, that's okay. You can go on LinkedIn and just write an article on LinkedIn and maybe commit to doing that once a week. And so you don't quite get the same feedback from those as you do from like the Ezine articles or anything like that, but you still get the practice of writing, and you're putting it out there on social media or your website, so maybe you'll get some traffic from that sort of thing. But there's no really way you can replace the experience you can get from hands-on just writing. And so that's really what I want to encourage you to do, is just start writing, and you'll get a voice for how to communicate things about your business. Now, just a couple of tips. When you're writing things like an article, you want to look for this really simple formula. I call it the 3 formula. And it's just, there's a beginning, middle, and an end. So you open up by kind of setting the stage. You talk about whatever you want to talk about, and then you wrap it up somehow. And if you just focus on that alone, that will give you some structure that you can work with to make writing a little bit easier. Now, that same methodology should be applied when you're thinking about your proposals. There's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end. Now, the middle may be 25 pages. Who knows? It could be 100 pages. But there's a beginning. There's an executive summary. There's your core section where you're talking about your products or services, that kind of thing, your solution piece, right? The technical write-up that you're going to do. And there's usually some sort of summary that comes with that. Then there's pricing and all those other kind of things. Out of all that, one of the things you've got to get good about is weaving your past performance in all of those things. So when you're writing an overview, an executive summary, any of those kind of things, it's not just, hey, we were founded in 1975 and we do good work in the IT industry. How do you do good work? Communicate some value and that sort of thing. Again, that's why I recommend for that aspect of it, go look at some of the examples, whether it's on federal-access.com or some other place. You can just Google RFP examples and there'll be a whole bunch of stuff that'll pop up on Google. Go and look at some of that stuff and see how people are communicating it and get an idea of how you want to do it. But there's just no substitution for writing. You have to write. And it could be really simple stuff like a marketing headline, like an email headline, like an email to someone, where you're just focusing on getting better at communicating what you're trying to communicate. When you write something, look at it and say, does this communicate everything I want to? Is it clear? Is it concise? Does it make sense? That sort of thing. And if it doesn't, then you still got work to do. I still work on my writing all the time because to me, writing is less of a science and more of just this skill that you develop. There's some science to it. There's some data that backs that up, but it's such a skill to be able to just sit down and write and communicate. And I guarantee you, whatever you do in life, this will make you better at it. Because the better you get at written communication, the better you get at verbal communication and just communicating with people in general. So this is kind of a broad topic here in writing. People have all kind of questions for me about this one all the time. I've written, I think this is the 4th book. I'm in the middle of my 5th one right now. So clearly I like to write and I can probably answer a lot of questions you have about writing. So if you have questions, you know how to reach me. This is the end of this 5-part series. This has been a fun little journey. And if you have questions about it, you know how to reach me. We'll see you next time.